So we're looking at this idea around freedom this month. And I love the concept. You know, Ernest Holmes spent a lot of time in the Science of Mind talking about this idea, and that freedom is something that we experience from the inside out. He says so often what we think is that it is the conditions and the circumstances of our lives that bind us. But the truth is, more often than not, it is our own thinking about reality that becomes the prison in which we live. And the way out of the prison is to stop believing in the prison. And poof, it's not there anymore, right? So that's simple enough. Do that. End of story. Let's go home. Right? Last week, no, you don't get off that easy. Don't even consider it for a moment. Last week we talked about the freedom to fail. And I noticed a joy and enthusiasm in the room. Like, finally, a task we can accomplish with ease, right? Because all of us have at one time or another figured out how to not to do something, right? And so what a great blessing it is to learn to do it differently. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but in our willingness to not let that be the thing, we continue to move forward. Was listening to a speaker a while back, and he was talking about this idea about changing our mindset to away from this idea that so many of us do, that there's good experiences and there's bad experiences, to just having an understanding that there's experiences that teach us and allow us to learn and grow. And really, when we start to do that, when we start to realize that we're just here to learn and to grow, we don't have to label it as such. Now, there's some experiences that provide us what we were hoping for. Pleasure, joy, success. And there's others that show us that's not the way to get there. But all of them teach us. All of them help us to understand who we are. And so it's exciting to realize, as someone said, it is choice, not circumstances, that determines our success. Only the successful will admit that. Have you noticed? Just saying. So I was, in this idea of success. I love that whole idea. There's so much literature and information about success and living a successful life and all of that good stuff and how we think about that. So I was thinking, so I wonder, when the Donald becomes president, will we brand the White House? What do you think? Yeah, or will the Air Force One become Trump Force One or something, Now, I bring up the Donald because whether you love him or don't, that's not my purpose. I'm not going to get into politics today. But what I'm watching is how fun it is to have an interesting character in the world stage, and how many people would look to him as a model for success. Right? He has $10 billion. I checked my account to see how I was doing. And I'm, about $9 billion short of that. So I'm impressed. I'm impressed by that. Right? But look, he has fame, he has fortune, he has recognition, he has big hair. And as we used to say in the South, big hair allows you a closer walk with God. You have to be in the South to really get that one, I think, but nonetheless. Right? So in worldly terms, you could look to this. Now, I don't know the guy, so I'm not going to say what's true. But I am saying what's true in the world is that's so often how we measure success. How well are you doing financially? What recognition have you achieved? How many letters do you have after your name? Right? But it has been my experience that that is only an indicator of something, but it boils down to the fact that success is truly a multifaceted personal concept. No version of success is the same for any other person. And what we tend to do is we allow that voice that lives in our head, you know, the one that says how you should be. You know that voice? You know that voice, right? How you should be behaving, how you should be acting, what you should be doing. If you were going to be a good mother or a father, here's how you would be. All those little voices that somehow define your success for you. But what I've discovered is that there's a very different version. You see, if you look at the word success, and I do this from time to time, just every once in a while I like to work from facts. Don't like to do it a lot, but, you know, just every once in a while I like to take a quick swing through reality just to see how that feels. And it turns out that success is defined as the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. The accomplishment of an aim or a purpose. So here's the good news. You're already successful. Today, just this very day, you said, you know what, I'm going to go to that darn Center for Spiritual Living, and lo and behold, ta-da, here you are. Give yourself. Turn to someone and say, you're a winner. Turn to someone else and say, good for you, you didn't get lost. And of course, somebody's going, I thought I was at Grace Church, right? So the thing about success is, that I've discovered is I can't live anyone else's version of success. Nor can anyone live my version of success? And that's a little harder sometimes, because sometimes I have defined for others what their successful life would look like. And given the opportunity, I'm more than happy to share. But oh, no, right? You see, we spend too much time trying to figure out what somebody else's version of life or version of success is and live that, instead of the inner time to figure out what is ours to bring forward into the world. What is our unique gift? What is our unique capability? You see, in our teaching, we would suggest to you that you are not somehow separate from the divine. That there is but one creative intelligence, life itself, and as Michael Beckwith says so beautifully, it's not life happening to us, it's life happening through us. And when we have that shift in awareness, everything else changes. When we're praying to a God out there saying, God, bring it, God's going, you bring it. I already brought it, you know? This is why I would not make a good God. I'd be like, shut the heck up. I created the universe. What do you want? Oh, there is a talk. I'm going to get to it. I swear to you I will get to it. Right? It's like we exist in the sea of limitless possibility, as Holmes said. And yet, we imprison ourselves through our limited thinking, through our belief in the limitation. So Holmes spends a great deal of time saying, understand that the same law of mind that is creating your bondage is also your road to freedom. That when we understand the proper application of spiritual principle, then all things become possible. You see, what I know is we never, ever demonstrate beyond our current belief system. Or if we do, it won't stay around. talking to somebody who was telling me about a friend of theirs who had a tragic accident and lost his leg. In the settlement, was given $3 million. 18 months later, broke. I'm not going to do that joke. Okay, just going to leave it at that. Right? Does that happen? Happens a lot. Because we hear me say this all the time. If we don't have the consciousness of the thing, even if the thing shows up, it don't stick around. So people can attract a relationship, but if they don't have the consciousness to support and fulfill the relationship, they go away. If, we can attract money, but we still have to have the consciousness and the mental equivalent of financial well-being. So it's a fascinating thing to watch that. Until we begin to learn to live life differently, and we begin to honor that inner spiritual path, then life is just a series of conditions and circumstances and experiences. Years ago, I was involved in a coaching program that was really quite wonderful and enjoyed it so much that I stole all their material and created a program for ministers, a mentor program. Actually, I got permission, so it wasn't really stealing. But in this program, what they helped us look at was this idea around the 5 areas of our life. And that true success, listening to who we are and what we're seeking to bring forward, so often what we do is we focus or obsess on one particular part of our lives to the exclusion or to the detriment of other aspects of our lives. And so in this program, they looked at, here's the areas of your life you want to look at. 1, your spiritual life. I happen to believe that this is most important. Would go without saying, kind of given my job. But I'll tell you why in a minute. And then they talk about family or social, that aspect of our life. The aspect of our career, what we do, our livelihood, what we bring forth in the world. Our financial life, having our finances work for us. And then also our personal life, which includes our physical and emotional well-being. And so this is why we never feel like we're completely successful, because you get 4 of those working, and then there's like this one's over here, right? So, yeah, it's a journey. But what I've begun to appreciate is I believe that it would behoove us to think of success more as a verb than as a noun. The success is not a person, place, or thing, but success is truly a process. It's an evolution. Because what we know to be true is once you achieve a level of success, what happens? There's a larger vista. There's a larger aha. There's a greater possibility. Now, I couldn't see that possibility when I was here. I had to get here. And I thought, when I get there, I'll be done. But when I got here, then it was like, look, what else is possible? So this journey, if we began to see success as a journey and not as a destination, if we began to see that our lives are always unfolding, that if we began to see that there's areas of our lives that need our attention and our awareness, it would be a good thing. Now, here's why I believe that the spiritual aspect is most important. Because everything changes. I was so struck. I've really been in this place since Sean Galloway was here last week. I just loved his story. That beautiful song that he wrote, I Choose Love, happened right after 9/11, which was a pivotal point for so many of us. And I was reflecting on this idea as I was thinking about this thing we call success. Here were very successful people who went to work on a clear day in New York at one of the most prestigious building complexes in the world. And everything changed. Some of those people died in that experience. And so all of life changed for the people around them. Right? And so when we get so focused on our career, we say, okay, once I get this next promotion, or once I do this, or once I accomplish this, and we don't pay attention to the other areas. You see, nothing quite gets us focused again like some kind of crisis. You notice that? You can be making all the money in the world and you have a heart attack, your focus is going to change. I guarantee it. Right? And so the trick then is to realize that our families change, yes? Sometimes they die on us for no apparent reason. Right? Sometimes the kids grow up and they go live their own lives and no longer ask for your advice. In fact, discourage it. Sometimes our careers change. Have you noticed that? Sometimes invited, sometimes uninvited. I've certainly had that happen. I always like to say, it was a really profound moment for me when I was invited to start a new ministry. Now, they didn't coach it that way. They were more like, the Donald, you're fired. But the end result was I got to start a new ministry, so I choose love and to see that in a larger context. Sometimes our finances change. Sometimes unexpected good comes to us. Sometimes unexpected good goes away from us, with or without our consent. Sometimes our physical and emotional well-being changes. We get sick, right? All of those things change. What doesn't change is spirit. And so what the masters through the ages have helped us to understand is that as we are grounded in the spiritual awareness, it does not mean that there won't be change around us. It will mean that we have the capacity and the awareness to see life as it is. This series of evolving, changing things. The Bhagavad Gita says, never a time it was not. You see, it's always been here. It's always will be. And even as our spirit inhabits this body and watches these bodies go through miraculous changes that they go through over the years, and then at some point we leave the body behind and we move to the next dimension of our expression, the spirit remains the same. So why I've come to believe that the importance of having spiritual practice is so that we are in a grounded wellspring so that when change happens, and it will happen, we're not dismayed by the changes that are taking place. We're simply seeing them from a higher point of view. It's not to say you won't grieve. It's not to say you won't experience pain. It's not to say you won't experience loss or sorrow. But there's a grounding in spirit that allows us to approach the rest of our reality from a higher point of view. So, this is one of the interesting things, though. We meaning me, often allow the things we have to do to get in the way of the things we know we should do. Do you do this too, or is it just me? All right. Well, I'm going to tell you anyways, just in case you know somebody like me that does this. Right? We have to make a living. We have to do this. We have to do that. We have to get all these things done. And meditation and prayer is kind of optional. Nobody's standing over you saying, I'm not calling you going, how was your prayer this morning, right? So we think, okay, well, when I get all this other stuff done, then I'll take time for my spiritual practice. But the thing about lists and things to do, they never get done. Have you noticed? You're never done. So to learn to incorporate those things that we know are good for us into priorities. To say, I am a child of a loving God and I deserve to nurture and care for myself. And what nurtures and cares for me? One of the things that nurtures and cares for you is maintaining and developing a spiritual life. Time in prayer and study and meditation. You see, so that when we can identify and live from that awareness, then we walk out into the world, and yes, we still see the world, but we're not dismayed by the world. We're less of the effect of the world. Until I learned this, I thought I had good days and bad days. I thought I had good experiences and bad experiences. Everything was always in a context of good and bad, right? Now I sort of realize, wow, I'm just sort of evolving. And look at this evolution that is taking place. Look at this thing that is coming forward. Sometimes it's exactly the way I planned it. More often than not, it's exactly the way I didn't. But either way, if I see that this is just part of my spiritual journey, you see, a successful life is a chosen journey along the path of fulfillment according to your own unique capacity as a human being. Each one of us carries within us a seed of the divine. Each one of us has unique combination of talents and gifts and abilities. I'm going to let you in on a little news flash. That's yours to bring forward. You want to hear that again? That unique combination of gifts, talents, and abilities is yours to bring forward. But see, we spend so much time in the should mentality that we ought to be like our brother Joe or our sister Susie, who's successful, right? Instead of seeing, listening, in allowing that divine spark to be revealed through us. To listen to what are the gifts that I have been given that I can bring forward. You see, to me, that's where success is truly defined. Now, if you make $1 gazillion, great. We celebrate that with you. As I say, keep tithing. Keep tithing. In fact, I'm willing to sit in my prayer stool and hold that for you. That's great. But did you bring forth your fulfillment? Did you bring forth that which is uniquely yours? To me, when it's all said and done, that's all that matters. In my lifetime, as in the last 25 years that I've been doing this thing called ministry, I've been privileged to serve at many a memorial and many a funeral. And what I see over and over and over, no one ever stands up at the podium and says, gee, Bob was great. Do you know he died with a net worth of $9.7 million? Right? He may have, but that's never the thing. So in our definition and defining our own success, I think it's important that we look at all of those unique qualities that are ours. And it's my belief that the foundation for a purposeful and successful life has these qualities. One, that personal success must connect with our inner purpose and our passion. This idea, why am I here? And what am I passionate about? What brings me joy? What brings me fulfillment? What am I excited about? Do that. Right? Now, the thing that can prevent that is fearing the opinions of others will undermine your success. If you are asking yourself, I'd love to do this, but what will they think? Who cares? I'm going to let you in on another list. I'm just spilling the secrets all over today. When you're spending time thinking, what will they think? Guess what? They're not thinking about you. They're wondering what you're thinking. Right? Everybody's worried about what everybody else is thinking. Terry Cole Whitaker had a brilliant book called What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. It's the most freeing concept ever. Glad you have an opinion. Enjoy. Keep it to yourself. No. You see, what we need to do is fulfill our human potential. We must fulfill our divine potential. Not just achieve specific goals, but to truly be successful, it is about, did we bring forth that which is within us? I quoted the Gospel of Thomas, I think, last week. That idea that if you bring forth that which is within you, it will save you. And if you do not bring forth that, it will destroy you. Brilliance, brilliance. That when we're listening to the divine and what it's calling forth, then we're allowing something magnificent to be revealed. As Sean was speaking last week, I really loved, he just, it's so funny how people throw little things out, but he was saying, we were sitting in a men's circle, and there was a closeted poet in the group who loved poetry, but probably had an accounting job or something practical, right? And it was kind of like, come out of the closet, be a poet, announce to the world who you are. I thought, wow, how many of us walk around in the closet? We don't want to tell people who we really are. I mean, being gay is so passé, right? So, that's for, so last decade, right? Yeah, exactly. Now anybody can come out. It's great. Very equal opportunity. So, what is that within you that up until now you've been afraid to announce to the world for what they might think? So I love that idea that he came out of the closet and now is this brilliant poet who shone and put words to this. I mean, it was like, thank you. So as I said last week, so that poem written inspired a musician to make it into music, which then inspired us to hear that music and go, oh, wow, there's a bigger picture. The world is standing in need of each of us giving our gift. Stop being practical. Stop being realistic. Create success. And only you can create the success that is yours to create. It is not how others define it. It is what brings you joy and fulfillment and allows you to fulfill your divine purpose. And know that you are loved and supported in doing that. Let us pray. As we take this moment to breathe into the awareness of this one life, to sense and to feel and to know that we are connected with the whole. As the Master said, we live and move and have our being in this divine presence. The life is indeed revealing itself in us and through us and as us. And so we breathe into this moment and into this awareness. And we recognize that wholeness is revealing itself as health, as well-being, as vitality. We're sensing and knowing and feeling that life is good. Life is rich. Life is seeking its expression through us. And so we're opening our heart to be the full expression of this one life. We're allowing something magnificent to transpire. We're choosing love. We're choosing this unconditional presence that observes the world but is not absorbed by the world. That chooses to forgive freely, to release, to let go. And that chooses love over every other option. What a powerful place it is to live from a heart overflowing with unconditional love. Recognizing it is simply a choice. We're choosing to know that we are indeed abundant beings, for we are one with the very source and substance of all that is. We know that the Creator creates by becoming that which it has created, that it expresses itself through life. And so we move into right relationship with this ongoing flow of giving and receiving, participating in the divine flow of life itself. We allow ourselves to experience joy and abundance and prosperity. at every level of being, including financial. How good it is to know that we are whole, perfect beings in the mind of God. And so I invite you in this moment, if there is a burden on your heart, if there is a concern that is weighing you down, perhaps this is the moment to set it aside, to lay it down, to let it go, and in its place, embrace the spiritual truth, seeking its revelation, allowing healing to occur, transformation to be made known. We are free in this moment as we accept our spiritual freedom, choosing to live the authentic life, choosing to be who we were born to be. And it is good. And so it is with a profound sense of joy and gratitude that I give thanks for all the blessings of our lives, that we simply recognize how full and rich and joyous our life is. We give great thanks for those realized and those yet to be realized blessings. And so we extend a blessing from this place of overflow and gratitude. We bless this spiritual community, this divine idea which continues to unfold and evolve into its greater yet to be. We extend a blessing to our brothers and sisters around the planet, to the planet itself. We're holding that high consciousness of a planet at peace and of a world that works for all. I believe that we are only one thought away from global peace, one collective thought. So we contribute to that awareness of love, harmony, peace, truth, joy, and beauty. And as is our custom, we take a moment to bless all priests, rabbis, ministers, teachers of all faiths and all faith traditions. We understand and celebrate there are many pathways to the divine, and we honor and bless them all. So in joy and gratitude, I'm simply giving thanks. Giving thanks to be in the awareness of the all-pervading presence of the divine. Giving thanks for a law of mind that is operating upon our consciousness here and now, bringing forth a greater and higher good. Giving thanks for the many blessings and those yet to be realized. So in joy and gratitude, I know there is nothing more to do but indeed to let it be. As together we say, and so it is.